Great. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see why the other one doesn't work. Okay. I'll just run through the names. Figured if it brings in, we're the only shear that still does that.
Oh, really?
It only brings in about $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
Are you serious?
For the show.
No, that's very serious. That's very serious.
That's serious money.
Of course it is.
Right, the year of learning. Friends of Malaskotsky, Moshe Zelig, Ben Mordechai, Martin Lippman, and family in memory of his wife, Martha Chana Pinchas. Friends of Herb Jeremiah, Sri Ben Zeb. Friends of Sam Coleman, Shmuel Ben Yaakov. Friends of Gideon Lazinski, Mordechai Shlomo Ben Meir, Bella and David Adler, in memory of her father, Eliyahu Ben Yosef HaKohen. Those who were inspired by our Rebbetzin Emerita, Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Esther Malka, Bad Meshulam Yisachar. Gail and Leslie Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Mushkish Prince Bat Yosef Chaim Bechava, Hanan ben Moshe Eliezer Vechana, Pesha Bat Shmuel Yitzchak Halevi V'Tzipora, Yisur ben Yoel Moshe HaKohen Vechana. Rexford Friends of Gladys Sherman, Gutta Ben Meir, Michael Klein and Friends of Judah Klein, Yehuda Tzvi Ben Chaim, Marsha Brana, in memory of her husband, Rav Yerachmiel Ben Shmuel. A month of learning by Ruvain and Susan Podolsky. Where is Ruvain today? Do you know, Michael?
He's not here. He's not been feeling well.
I know. In memory of his father, Tzvi Ben Pinchas, Charlie Gelfenstein, in memory of his mother, Dacia Gilbas Meir Levi, and his father, Meir Ben Yaakov. A week of learning, Susan Fruchter Kramer. In memory of her late husband, Rav Shmuel Aaron Ben Ephraim Fischel, Marsha Federbush. In memory of her father, Menachem Mendel Ben Shlomo. I have no individual days of learning today.
Amen. Okay, we're both sides. So to put one thing in context, today we really are in a bit of an aside. No, it's what's the real discussion going on in the Gemara? We want to know in Chatzar Shutafim, when a courtyard is owned by two people, by both the damager and the damagee, what's the law? So we had a machlokas yesterday. We had a machlokas between Rav Chisda. Rav Elazar, Rav Chisda says that he's chayiv, okay, on Shein V'Regel, and Rav Elazar says that he is pater. Now, Rav Elazar, because remember we learned yesterday, because he made that second phrase adjacent to being pater, so we were stuck. What is the summation of the Mishnah? Say he's a chava. What is it referring to? So we said, okay, don't worry. According to Rav, it's easy. According to Shmuel, it's easy, coming to include Karen. He said, according to Rav, what's coming to include? And we quoted a brisa yesterday that it's a little enigmatic. It basically says it has to do with if a watchman was guarding something, they has to pay. But we don't know what's going on. And I want you to look at the language of yesterday. Take a look. Look at the language of the brisa. After we read, I'll tell you where I am. Here, we said, here, it's the first fat line, right in the middle. He said, Tana Rabbanan Kish, Mazik, Lahavi Shomer Chinam, it's coming to include a Shomer Chinam, an unpaid watchman, Bashola, Bar, no Seschar, a paid watchman, Basocher, and a renter. Shehizika Behemer Bershusan, where an animal did damage, and it says Bershusan in their domain. Tam Mishan Chatzinezik, Mumishan Nezik Shola. They have to. So then we said, okay, don't worry. We're really still in the discussion of whether a shared courtyard, whether the mazik is liable for Shein V'Regel. No, what's its rule? Is it really like the domain of the damagee, or is it not? Or is it like the domain of the damager or public domain? Okay, now, but I want you to look at the language of it. It's very strange. Why is that? In Hebrew, we always have problems with whether it's because of the way the language is written. We're not always sure whether a noun is the subject or the object of a verb. So I want you to look at it carefully, and I'll show you something. There are a lot of ways to learn this. I'm going to show you one way, and it's a little sneaky, but I want to show you one way. Take a look. If you take a look, it says, look at the second line. Should I put a dot into that hey, or shouldn't I? Should I say she's zikoh behema bershusan or she's zika behema bershusan? What would be the difference? In other words, if I say that what zika with a hey with a dot in it, so then what? So I can tell you that it damaged. Okay, it damaged something else. What? An animal in his rishus. So is behema bershusan the object of hizika, or is it the subject of hizika? You see what I'm saying? And so now I don't know. Is it talking about the animal that did the animal is talking about the animal that it was the animal did the animal of the lender, the animal of the lender do the damage to the animal, let's say, of the borrower, or did the animal of the borrower do damage to the animal of the lender? Let's read it inside. Let's look at the Gemara's analysis, and it's bothering the Gemara. The Gemara says, "Amar ma." That's what the Gemara. I don't know what the case is, but here's a famous case. We always say it like this: any way we look at it, it doesn't make sense. That's a classic argument. That's what we're going to say here. Amar ma. We just read in the Brisa, this picking up from yesterday. We said that we said that when the damager damaged, he has to pay the havi shamachinam. This is coming to include the case of an unpaid watchman, bashol, or a borrower, no say sachar, a paid watchman, basochar, or a renter. Okay, let's take a case of the borrower, because that's to make it easy. His borrower is mostly obligated. He says, what's the case? If you want to say what? That the lender's ox gored the ox of the borrower. That's the question that we're telling me what? That the lender has to pay what? The lender has to pay the borrower for the damage that he did to him. Let the lender say to him, what are you talking about? He says, had my ox gored somebody else's ox, or damaged somebody else's ox, you would have had to pay because you were responsible for watching it. Now that my ox gored you, he says, I have to pay you? How can that be? How can you tell? Why am I obligated? You're obligated to take care of the ox. If my ox gored somebody else, you would have paid. If my ox gored you, you still pay. You were in charge of watching my ox. Ella, what's the alternative? Nazik tur the shola tur the marshal. What's the other possibility? That the ox of the borrower gored the ox of the lender? So then we have a problem. He said, 1 second. You told me what? He says, let the borrower say, let the lender say to the borrower, he says, listen, 1 second, what's going on? Had my ox, now let's be careful. Remember, we said that he pays half damages, all damages, right? That he's going to pay. They have a problem. Why is that? Because that's what we said. If it's a Tom, he pays half, and if it's a Muad, he pays whole. They says, 1 second. He says, if my ox had been gored by another ox in the world, okay, let's say whatever. Boy, shalomi, kuli tur, you got to pay for everything. Why? Because I don't care what the damage. If my ox was gored by another damager, I don't care whether that damager was a Tom or a Muad. You're my watchman, and you're obligated to guarantee the value of my ox. So my ox, the whole value of my ox. I don't care what the damager is obligated. You are obligated a whole ox. Okay. You're obligated to pay me everything. Okay, says now that it was your ox, you want all of a sudden act like a damager and not like a watcher. You want to pay me half? So it makes no sense. The law, any way you look at it, makes no sense. So the answer is, don't worry. The olam daski tur the mashal tur the show. You made a mistake. He says we're talking where the ox of the lender or the ox of the borrower. So you say, so what? So still the borrower is still responsible for the ox of the lender. Why is he going to get paid? The answer is what it's talking about. It's a case where the watchman stated explicitly that he was going to watch to guard the animal, that it shouldn't be damaged. But he said explicitly that he's not going to accept the guarding of it to stop it from damaging others. And they have to know, for us it's maybe a chiddush, but the Rashba says clearly that every watchman is understood that when he takes on a guardianship, that he accepts to guard the animal from being damaged, and also accepts to guard the animal from doing damage. And that's why only when he states explicitly, I'll be your guardian to protect your animal, but not to protect other things from your animal. But otherwise it's an assumption. That's what the Rashba says. Says the Gemara, 1 second. If you're telling me it's a case where the guy said explicitly, I'm not responsible, Ema Seifa says, how am I going to learn the end of that same brisa? We said, Nifritz of Balayla, if it broke out at night, he can't go out after it, or he wouldn't have known, or Shapartu at least him, or that marauders broke it out, the Yatz of Ezekiel, and the animal went out and did damage, Potter, okay, so now the borrower is not responsible. Okay, then I see 1 second. See, so the inference belies what we said before. Now the inference is what? In this case, he's exempt. But if it was in the daytime, he would be obligated. But if you just told me now that it's a case where he said I'm not responsible for damage, why is he only not responsible when it broke out? Even in the daytime, no problem. When it's not nighttime, he should still not be responsible. Indeed, he did not what? He did not accept the guarding against it doing damage. He says, don't worry. It's what it said. You're right. The opening was where he didn't accept it, And then there's a line that's unwritten. And however, in Kibul of Zakov, but if he did accept upon himself the damage, to watch it from doing damage, high, then he'd be obligated. And even though he accepted it, if it's a balayla, if the wall of the it broke broke down the wall of the corral at night, which part two listening, or if thieves broke it out, and it went out into damage potter. Now we've explained it. So good. Now that was really just an aside. We're back to the main argument, this massive argument between what? Between Rav Chisda and Rav Elazar. Rav Chisda says that the shared courtyard, the damager is responsible for eating and for trampling, and Rav Elazar said no. The Gemara says 1 second. So now the Gemara wants to fight with Rav Elazar. Says, tell me what that a shared courtyard, that the damager is not responsible for eating and for trampling. Eating, is it really true? Is he really not exempt? Well, I'll tell you, Rabbi Yosef, we have a brisa. Now, be careful. Okay, we have a little different kind of brisa. It's not a brisa. Well, I'll say brisa because that's how some usually say. It's a brisa. Well, I'll tell you, Rabbi Yosef. Yosef says, it says explicitly a shared courtyard, a pundak, or an inn, where you have to realize in the inn, every person who rents a room or play it out, they had rooms even, but every person who rents a space in the inn is like an owner. You understand? You rented a place, so you have right to put your fruits there, to put your produce there, etc. Everybody's like an owner. So now, whether it was a shared courtyard, an inn where everybody who pays rent, you understand, is like an owner. He's obligated for what? For eating or for trampling. So we want to propose that this is a knockout kasha to Rabbi Elazar. You know, it's only a kasha, but maybe another time I'll explain it. But anyway, it looks like a knockout kasha. You see that he is obligated in a shared courtyard. Amalach Rabbi Elazar, he says, come on, he says, the Tizbra of Maslisa, what do you think? The Bryces all argue? You think you got the only Bryce in the world? I also got a Bryce. Well, Tanya, didn't we learn another Bryce? But keep your hat on because you're going to need these for a while. Rabbi Elazar said what? He made 4 summations, 4 general rules. Any case, what is the domain of the damagee and not of the damager? Then it's obvious. He's responsible to pay full damages, full damages. Now, okay, the mazik will, even if it's a time, we'll see. Okay, now has to pay full damage. The mazik v'lo if it was the domain of the damager and not of the damagee, patimikol. So then, what? He's exempt from everything. What are you doing by me? Who invited you here? Lezeh, if it's for both this one and that one, for kagon chatzar shutafim babika, for example, like a shared courtyard or the pasture, where it's everybody's paterball al hashem al regal, then it's exempt for eating and for trampling on a gifa, but it's like a public domain. So then, for goring, okay, well, on a gifa, for pushing with the body, all these are types of goring. On a shicha, biting, a vitza for sitting down and breaking, for crouching and breaking it maliciously, for kicking maliciously and damaging. Then an unwarned ox will pay half. And a warned ox will pay full damages. Good. Low lizeh. But if it's not this one or that one, in other words, it's nobody's. Okay. It's a courtyard that belongs to neither of them. Okay, he has to pay for what? For shade and for regal. Okay, it's a little confusing. He has to pay for eating and for trampling on a gicha, on a shicha, but goring and all of its subcategories on a gicha for goring, on a shicha for biting, on a gifa for pushing, on a ritza for crouching and breaking, on a vita for kicking, all these malicious things. The unwarned ox will pay half damages, muad, and a warned ox for showing nezek shall pay full damages. Now, after that, take a deep breath. But look, I proved you one. Telling me, at all events we learned, when it's a shared courtyard of Abika or the pasture, Potter Bala Shaver Regal. He's exempt what on the eating and the trampling. So now we got a point. You brought me what a brisa, okay, a brisa against or a loser. He has a brisa like him. Now, so that's fine. I'll wait. Maybe if we have time, I'll say something very interesting about this piece. But anyway. Kasha. So 1 second, the Gemara says, okay, good, very nice. Well, Elazar can defend himself, but we got a problem. Why should the brises that are written not as an individual opinion contradict each other? We don't like that. We want any time when there's no indication of an argument, we want everything to be all opinions, and yet we see a contradiction. So the Gemara says, "Don't worry, I can answer it." Tanya, the second brisa that taught that the shared courtyard is exempt, okay, on eating and trampling. When do we say what in the second brisa that you're exempt on the shared courtyard? Because it's truly a shared courtyard. They both have a right to put produce, and they both have a right to bring their animals. So therefore, what? So everybody has a right to say, "Listen, you're my place. Leave me alone." Okay, I heed the Rabbi Yosef, but the first brisa that we that Rabbi Yosef brought us, that says that the shared courtyard, that the damager is responsible. What is b'chatzar b'yuchedes lepeiros? It's where everybody had a right to bring their produce, but they weren't allowed to bring animals in there. So now it's going to be unique. It's going to have a double character. Why? As far as produce, it's a shared courtyard. As far as animals, it's not a shared courtyard. So now we're going to say the lagabe shein havi alo chatzar nizak. So when it comes to to eating the food, it's really the domain of the damagee. Why? Because the guy had no right to put his animals. His animal's going to someone else's place. He had no right to put his animal there. And you know what? And therefore, what really? Watch what's happening. Really, everybody agree, or both prices agree with the way Rabbi Lazar said it. You know, the Gemara is setting up according to Rabbi Lazar. Why is that? The brisa that said you're exempt because you're exempt. The brisa says you have to pay. It's not because it disagrees. Really, the truth is that it was shared. You'd still be exempt. But this is not really shared because why? Everybody had a right to put their produce there, but they didn't have a right to put their animals. So vis-a-vis this guy's animal eating the other guy's stuff, even though he had a right to put his produce there, as far as bringing his animal, it's not his courtyard. He went to somebody else's courtyard and he ate. So really, everyone agrees that if it's truly shared, he's exempt. But this is not really a shared courtyard. He's bringing his ox into a courtyard that's not his. And daikanami, I can derive this because of the apposition of the two things. Why did the brisa put together what? A shared courtyard and an inn and an inn. Why did you put it in there? Okay, why daikanami? Because it learns what? Dumya the pundak. You can see that this shared courtyard is unique because it was placed in a position with an inn. Okay, and with an inn, and what? Because an inn is a place where people are allowed to put or bring their produce. You can bring your donkey into the inn. You can bring your produce in there. You don't bring your donkey in there. Nobody wants it in there. Okay, but Katani Hasam, and we learned. Okay, give me the bika. And the other brisa, what? When it compared, when the brisa that said it was exempt, was talking about what? That it was the same as the pasture where everybody had a right to bring the animals. Shmamino. Indeed, you can hear from here that this is a good answer. In other words, what? But by being exacting with the appositions, that in one case the shared court is put in apposition with what? With a pasture. In one place the shared court is put in apposition with an inn. We see that the two shared courtyards are not the same, and everyone agrees with Rabbi Elazar. Okay, Maskif law, Rabbi Zera. So he said, one second. He says, you want to tell me what? That when you told me what that when you have a courtyard that's shared for produce but not shared for animals, it's really as far as eating and trampling, it's like the damagee's courtyard. Maskif law, Rabbi Zerius Makashi. So one second, I have a few questions. Came into Muchedes Lepeiros, since they both have a right to put their produce there. Okay, one second, but the pasuk says that in order to be liable for eating or trampling, you have to go into somebody else's courtyard. Okay, Baleka, we don't have it. It's not really somebody else's courtyard. He also has a right to put, since he has a right to put his fruits there, why can his produce there? Why can you say that it's not a shared? Why can you say it's not a shared courtyard? Why can you say it's someone else's? Amalei Abai says no. This is what we answered is good. Came the enemy since it doesn't have a right they don't have a right to put the ox in there, the animals. It really still is called what? Somebody else's field. If it's with the guy with this damager, it's somebody else's field. Amalei Rabachmi Difti Rabina, he said to him, Lema mi de masnisa lo pligas. One second, wow. Now that you did such a beautiful job, and you figured out that you could say that the two brises that looked to say opposite laws in the same case really were in agreement, and that the cases were different. It says, Amori Nami, why don't I do this? I'd rather say what? Lo pligi. Maybe really Rav Chisda and Rav Elazar are not arguing either. Even though Rav Chisda said that the Chatzar Shitafin, the shared domain, is obligated, and Rav Elazar says it's not, maybe they're really not arguing. And they are here. The truth is that they're talking about two different cases. And when Rav Chisda said that it was obligated, it was talking about a place where you're allowed to bring your produce, but you weren't allowed to bring your ox. So why do we make peace and say that wasn't the argument? Amalei, so Ravina said that him. He says, right. He says, you can. Good point. Yeah. You can really say now, we can say that Rav Elazar and Rav Chisda are not arguing. Okay. But you want something else? He says, and even this, I can still lessen the argument in this way and say that if you do say they're arguing, I'll say what they're arguing in exactly the ways that we spoke about. No, it's Bekusha, the Rizera, Bepuruka. It's about the argument. If I say they're arguing, they're simply arguing about what Reb Zera said. What was Reb Zera's idea? Reb Zera said, listen, if I can bring my produce there, you can't say I'm going into someone else's court. He says, no. Even if you can bring your produce, but we answered it. Abai said, what? No, even if you can bring your produce, you can't bring your ox. It's somebody else's. So we can say that's the argument that's the same argument of what? Of Rav Chisda or Rav Elazar. Rav Chisda holds that what? That Rav Chisda holds that if you can't bring your ox and you can't bring your produce, it's somebody else's courtyard. And Rav Elazar holds no, that as long as I can bring my produce, it's still not somebody else's courtyard. Good. Gufa, let's get back. We got a little bit of a problem over here. We talked in damages. What that he said 4 general rules. Let's review them. Every place where it says that with his permission for the damagee to be, but not the damager, he has to play bakol. So you notice before I emphasized something. You notice when I said bakol, you notice what I said to you. I didn't say he's obligated. He's obligated in all cases, but I said he's obligated what? For the whole thing. Why? Because that's what the Gemara says later. I took it from here because it says what? It didn't say al hakol. If I say to you, thank you al hakol, I'm thanking you what? For everything. But what? But look, funny, it didn't say that. El chayav bakol. It says obligated for the whole thing. See, he's obligated in the whole thing, in the whole, not for all, but what? In the all, which is everything. It means to say what? The kulin ezek. You mean what? That if he damages in the courtyard of the damagee, he has to pay everything. Meaning to say what? Let's say it was a case of goring, that even though it's a non-warned ox, he's going to have to pay for everything. Money, woo, woo, woo. So it looks like Rabbi Elazar is according to a very unique shita, which we've mentioned, but we'll come to. It must be Rabbi Tarfon. It must be holds like Rabbi Tarfon. Okay, what? A Karen is different, a goring in the courtyard of the damagee. Nezek Shalom Mishalim, he has to pay the whole. Even when what? Even when it's a non-warned ox. Later on, Rabbi Tarfon learns we're going to come to one of the most famous, one of those famous arguments in the whole of the Talmud is going to come up about. He's going to learn with a Kal V'chomer that even though that goring, even though the Torah explicitly teaches that there's half damages and whole damages, and when it happens in the domain of the damagee, he has to pay whole damages even if he's unwarned. I said, wait, slow down. You want to tell me that Rav Shimon Elazar holds that when an ox scores in the domain of the damagee, they have to pay whole damages no matter what? Ema Seifa, 1 second. How are you going to explain what we learned later on? You told me when they had it, he also gave me a category, lo lezet, but lo lezet, it's not his and it's not his, okay? Kagon chatza she'eno shel shneihem, meaning what? It's not of either of them, chayav ba'ala shein ba'ala regel. You told me what? So he has to pay for damage, for trampling, for eating and trampling. What do you mean when you told me what lo lezet, lo lezet? What do you mean it's not this one and not this one? Ilema lo lezet, lo lezet klal. If you mean to say what? That it's not either of them at all. Neither of them is, but it belongs to somebody else. It's not the damagees and it's not the damager, but it's somebody else's. In other words, so the damagee put his fruits in his produce in some third party's place, and then the ox of the damager came to the third party's place. Okay, why should he pay for eating or for trampling? The pasuk says you're only obligated for those things when you go into the other guy's field. But lekka, it's not the other guy's field. Elapshita, so you're forced to say, obviously, when it said lo lezeh lo lezeh, it didn't mean that neither of them has permission to be there. Eladecha means it's not this one or that one, but rather one of them. One of them, okay, meaning what? That the damagee had a right to put his food. If the damagee doesn't have a right to put his stuff there, you can't call it going to somebody else's field. And nevertheless, for Kotani Sefer, we learned Tam Mishal Chatzi Nezek, Mu Mishal Nezek Shalom. We said that the ox in that field, that in that field pay of that where the damagee has rights. He told me what he pays half damage as a non-warned and whole damages as a warned. That's on the Rabbanan. Now you say you're not saying the opinion of Rabbi Tarfon. Now you say the opinion of the rabbis that whether it's in a public domain or a private domain, Goring gets half and whole damages. Why? The Amri Mishuna Karen B'Chatzanizak. Because, like the rabbi said, no, it's different, and it's different. We'll see. Well, later we'll get out in the language, okay? And therefore, what? And in the private domain, okay, Chatzinezik in the domain of damage, you pay half. So get out of here. So what are you going to do? Reisha, what are you going to do? Reisha, Rabbi Tarfon, B'Sefer Rabbanan. The first half he tells you a opinion of Rabbi Tarfon, and the end he tells you opinion of the rabbis. How can you write like that? How can you say what you're saying? So how can you tell me that Bakol, you on the okay, nice move, but for one letter you want to make the price contradictory? It's a better read it like I read it. You have to pay for all the damages and not for the whole damage. Don't read the way you read it. With your neat little fancy trick, you're going to ruin the whole brisa. It's going to be self-contradictory. Give in, give up, let go. Stop being so stubborn. They say no. I'll be stubborn. Ian, that's right. I'm going to tell you that there are cases where I can do it, and I'll tell you why. This is very interesting. Why? He says, you know what? He says yes. In this case, I'm going to say now, even though this is, so to speak, you're not allowed to do this. Here, okay, are you going to tell me that with no signpost, no warning, no left turn, no detour, with nothing, the Bryce doesn't tell me a thing? Nope. In one case, it's talking according to a radical opinion of Rav Tarfon, and in the end, it's talking according to the rabbis. It doesn't give me a clue. Can you really answer such an answer? He says yes. In this case, I can. You know why? Because we have a tradition. Here I have a right. I have a tradition. What is it? Okay, the hawk, because you'll see in the Gemara Brachos we learn, in another place it says Shinana. He said to him in another place, Shavok Masnisen, drop the Mishnah, but Tar Basrai, and follow me. Reish Rabbi Tarfon, don't worry. He says, don't worry about trying to solve it your way. Follow me. Reish Rabbi Tarfon, the beginning is Rabbi Tarfon, the Sefer Rabbanan. The beginning is Rabbi Tarfon, and the end is the rabbis. Here I have a tradition to do it. You understand? Here I can do it. Usually it's a violation. You can't do it. Here, we have a tradition everybody knows. And you have to know that there's lots of information. You know, when I started the yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, I was a kid, but much younger than now anyway. But much younger than now. So these guys, every day you got Eretz Yisrael is it's like the Wild West. You got everybody shopping everything around. So here it happens every couple of years. Somebody shows up. Oh, traditionally we have what's called kasron shashas. There are places where things were taken out of our Talmud. They just invited too much anti-Semitism. First of all, the Talmud was first of all we got forced by all these bad guys who went to the church, all kinds of things. No, every kid in the base matters had a volume called Kasron Shashas. What is that? All the places that were missing that were edited out. Every kid knows. You go to the special place in the bookshelf and you put it back in. Everybody knows it, and you shut your mouth. Everybody knows what it is. But you come along, these militant guys. He's coming around. He wants to get me to sign a paper that they're going to put him back in. So I said to him, first of all, you're coming to the wrong guy. I'm too little. I'm just a kid. Go to the big rabbis and don't go asking people. Don't go asking people like me. I said, but number two, the truth is, in my opinion, I don't think you should do it. I said, I don't think, and I was. You see that I was right. They thought it's all over. Anti-Semitism is everywhere. Are you kidding? Are you crazy? What do you think? You want to invite this stuff? You understand? First of all, everybody knows that. But my point is what? Not everything has to be. We know. I know. Everybody who knows. Don't worry about it. All the people are supposed to know, and you can shut your mouth. You have to shoot your mouth up every second. You understand? Be quiet. We all know what to do. Yeah. We have it. Yeah, we have it. Every kid had it. I bought it as a kid. Everybody has it. What's the big deal? Okay. Anyway, now, so here he says, listen. Here, what he says, but here he says we have certain things that we know. Everybody knows. Certain things we know, and you have to realize in the fraternity of Talmidei Chachamim, there are things we know. Everybody knew. Everybody knows. The things in Igros Moshe that the people who know, you don't read it exactly that way. Everybody knows you wrote it for a certain reason. The Igros Moshe is the response of Rabbi Feinstein. No, it's everybody knows. Everybody knows what happened over there. There was a story, and all the people are supposed to know. Okay, but over here we have traditions. Now, so therefore, so he says, don't worry. He says, I can solve it. Now, another way is like this, which is less radical. Don't worry, don't worry. It looked to you like the beginning was very Tarfon and the end was the rabbi. No, don't worry. Ravina made the Rabbi Amar said, don't worry. Kula Tarfon. The whole thing is really Rabbi Tarfon. Both the beginning and the end hold that when that Goring in the domain of the damages, he pays full damages even the first time. My lo lezet, because you read the end wrong. That category, when it's not his, it is not his. It doesn't mean it's not his and not his, but it's one of it's not both of them, but it's one of them that he's not. No, it means lo lezet, the lo lezet, the payros, el dechan. It's where they don't both have a right to put in produce, but only one of them has a right to put in produce. Okay, but what? Okay, lezet lishroim. Okay, but they both had rights to put their animals there. The legabe shane now, so now it's interesting. They both have a right to put the animal, but only one has a right to put the produce. The legabe shane as far as produce, since the damagee had a right to put his produce, it's really what? It's the courtyard of the damagee. So he has to pay. He has to pay damage for eating and for trampling. Legabe, okay, legabe Karen. When it comes to goring, but as far as goring, since they both had a right to put their oxen there, it's a public domain, and therefore, in that case, what he only has to. It's a public domain, and he only has to. It's a public domain, and even though Rabbi Tarfon holds the whole thing, even Rabbi Tarfon holds in the private domain, he pays full damages the first time. This is really as far as the oxen, it's the public domain, so he pays half damage the first time. So it's a hybrid. It's the damagee's place as far as what? As produce, but it's both their place as far as public, as far as oxen. I said, well, slow down. He says, if you're telling me that last case is where it's public because for oxen and private for the produce, our law, he says, why you tell me that it's four categories? Okay, Shloshabu, it's only three because this rule is just like the rules we learned before. You didn't add anything. Okay, Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, he answered him, don't worry. He says, why is that? He says, Shlosha Klalos, it's really three rules. You're right. There are really three rules in incorporated: public, private, mixed, but you can have it in four different places. Because what the last one is what? It's where they both have permission for oxen, but not for fruits. Okay, now the next one is really an indication. It makes me laugh out loud. I love this. The Mishnayos were never meant to be a public book. Mishnayos was the special book for the transmitters of the oral law. That's why it's written so strange. Mishnayos have parts taken out. It's written backwards. It was purposely made so that people who weren't learned couldn't use it. The Mishnayos was built to be closed to the non-educated. Why? It's too dangerous. The people who had the tradition use the Mishnayos to pass it on, but you had to be an educated person. You understand? The Mishnayos weren't made for the public. You understand? It was made for the people who know, and everybody else. And that's why other people destroy the world when they learn Mishnayos because they don't know what it's talking about. You understand? Now this one is one of my favorite, one of my classics. You understand? Because forget about the Mishnayos that are written backwards and missing pieces. This one is utterly enigmatic. It doesn't say what on earth is talking about. It's like a telegram. It's like a cryptogram. As long as a cryptogram. Listen to this Mishnah. You ready? Here. Rabosai, here's this morning's lesson. You ready? Here. Shum kesef, okay. Evaluation of money, Shava kesef. Equivalent of money, if they based in front of the based in, by the word of witnesses, b'nei chorin, free men, b'nei bris, Jewish men, b'nashim, b'chol nezek, women are included in damage, v'anizik, v'mazik, v'tashlumin, and the damaging and the damager are in the payment. Thank you very much. Okay, lesson over. I'm just teasing. Yeah, well, the whole thing's enigmatic. Okay, now my Shum Kesef. The Gemara was up. What does it mean? The evaluation of money. What does that mean? Amar Yehuda Shum Zeh. When you make the evaluation of the damages, Lo Kesef. Don't make the evaluation as a trade-off. But you have to do it in actual money. You have to put a number on it, and that's what the person's going to pay. You know, Tanina Laha. This our Mishnah will really by hinting. We'll be teaching what we learned explicitly, the hard the Tanur Bonan we'll be hinting at what the rabbis taught us. Para shehizika talis. Let's say, and now this is a big argument what I'm doing now, but I'm going to take one reading the way that Rashi reads simply. It's a big, big fight. Okay, we learn the following: Para shehizika talis. Once upon a time, a cow damaged a talus. In other words, it went into the private domain of the damagee and trampled his talus, his garment. That's regal. That's trampling. And then, ironically, incredibly, these same two objects, okay, this cow and this garment, the talus shezika para, oh my goodness, and in a completely different case, it turned out that the guy took the same garment and made it and left it as an obstacle in the public domain, and the cow was damaged by it. So now what happened? So the talus guy owes the cow guy, and the cow guy owes the talus. The cow guy owes the talus guy for trampling on his talus in the private domain, and the talus guy owes the cow guy for putting an obstacle in the public domain. Ain't no takes a par batalis for talus bapara. We don't say, listen, okay, here you can just take here. You can take the talus for the damage to the cow, or you can take the cow for the damage to the talus. But rather, what you don't just say, look, I'll take it no matter what. No, you have to figure out the exact damages, and pay the real amount. You can't just say either you take this or you take that. It's a big argument why we think such a thing. Okay, good. Shabbat Kesef. Okay, now what's the next thing? The next thing we said, Shabbat Kesef. When you say what the value of money. So in the past we've always used Shabbat Kesef to mean what? To mean kind. You can pay things that are worth anything, but anything you can spend, anything you can use. The Tanur Rabban, okay, but we have to see now. Shabbat Kesef, what does it mean? Tanur Rabban, we learned in a Brisa that what is Shabbat Kesef? Malamed shein based in this kakim elanachasim sheish manachlas. This is shocking. We learned that when the Beis Din wants to collect for damages done, it collects only from land. That's it. You can only you want to go collect from the damager. You can only collect from his land. And if he doesn't have land, you can't collect from his movables. However, the Brisa tells us if the damagee went out and grabbed the movables anyway, which the Beis Din wouldn't have collected, Beis Din go in the land. The Beis Din does indeed they collect. In other words, they will ratify. They'll ratify in that way. Like they collect in the sense that they'll ratify the fact that he took it, and it's okay. Amar Mar, we just learned in the Brisa, a very strange thing. Shabbat Kesef, you told me that the value of money, Malamitchem Beis Din is talking about the Chosim. You tell me the Beis Din only attends to collect from the Chosim Sheish Machmayis, from things that have responsibility only from land. My mashma, 1 second. How did you hear from the words worth money? Okay, that it's talking about land. My mashma, how did the words Shabbat Kesef, that it's equal worth money? How did you learn land? Amar Rabba Bar Ula. So he says to him, I'll tell you how. Davar hashava kol kesef. It means something that's worth any amount of money. Now, it's Shabbat Kesef, not that it's worth money. Shabbat Kesef, it's worth any money. Any amount of money, that's land. Only land can be like that. Mind you, what is something that's worth any amount of money in the world? Davar she'ein lo no, we mean by definition something where you can't overprice. You can't overprice it. What is that? Okay, because land is one of those things we learn from the Torah. We have a rule called ono. What is that rule? Today, by the way, it's a very interesting point. Today, this is almost never applicable. I have these cases all the time. In our world where we live, it's almost impossible for this ever to happen. It's one of such an important halacha in the Gemara. It almost never applies. We don't have prices. It almost doesn't exist. But in the time of the Gemara, at the time of the Torah, you had prices. So there was a rule. If a guy overcharged you, more than a sixth, the deal's off. You come back, he said, can't get your money back. Goodbye, Charlie. If a guy charged you exactly 1/6 over, then the deal's off, the deal's on, and he has to pay you back the money. If he charged you less than 1/6 over, he shouldn't have, but it's okay. Everything continues. That's all. Nothing happens. Now, but we have a rule that not everything is subject to these rules of overcharging. It's also undercharging. I'm just saying overcharging. There's also rules of undercharging, but that's not the point. Underpaying. The rules of overcharging do not apply to certain things. One of them is karka, is land. We learn from the pasuk from the Torah itself. We need to say what is something that's worth any amount of money. Something where the rules of overcharging don't apply. So that's what we're talking about. So the word how did the Bryce understand from the language of the Mishnah Shabbat Kesef? That means what? Worth money means worth any amount of money. Okay, any amount of money. It meant that what? It's talking about something that's worth any money. You can't. There's no cheating. That's land. The Gemara says, 1 second, then what? 1 second. If it's true that anything with the rules of overcharges don't apply, why did you only tell me that they can only collect from land? Avadim Mushtaris, the truth is, it was also slaves and also also papers. If I sell you a bill, I sell you a paper of debt. You discount. This is a big deal. We love to buy debts. You pay a little bit of money, you get a lot in the end. Today it's a big business. They started. It was almost bullish. It started a while ago. It's quite a while ago. People made fortunes. They go to people with terminal disease. Today it's common already, but it was a big deal. They go to people with terminal disease and they say, listen, you're not going to be living very long. He says, you know what? We'll give you a fortune we'll give you a lot of money, cash right now for your life insurance. You understand? You understand? And have a good time. Have a good time while you're still alive. Yes, and the guy's terminal. They said, listen, we'll pay you down. So we can discounting debts and discounting is big in the Gemara. We know how to do it. So a guy buys a paper. Okay, so here, when it comes to buying debt or it comes to buying slaves, just like by land, there's no overcharging. Rashi. So therefore, what? So you can't tell me. So it doesn't make any sense. If that's what we understood from the word Shabbat Kesef, then the rule doesn't make any sense because you shouldn't only be able to collect from land. You should also be able to collect for what? For damages from slaves and from the debts about IOU papers. Amar Abashi says what? Shabbat Kesef. Here's what it means. This is how we have to understand it. What does it mean that it's worth money? Below Kesef means worth money and not money. It means what? In other words, what? Now, what does that mean? In other words, Shabbat Kesef means when you say worth money, it means that it's taken. You can carry from place to place below Kesef. Now that's what you mean, as opposed to money itself. What do we mean? Behind Kulu, all of these things, slaves, paper, bill of debt. Okay, and even movables, Kesef Ninu. They're all called Kesef. Why? Because you can take them from place to place. So now it's the other way. Kesef means something that's current. We use the word, the word currency. So when Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to come to the laws of interest. So one of the things we talk about, how do we know what's a commodity and what's called money? It's something. It's very strange. When I trade, if I trade you apples for pears, etc., are they both commodities? Is one of the money? Is one this? So money is defined by currency. Why did we have a hard time saying gold is money? What do you mean? Gold should be the best money because it's too expensive. Gold, here, go to your local grocer with a hunk of gold. He's not going to. What are you nuts? He's going to give you change for $10,000. Whatever. So money means not value. You're saying money's not value. Money is currency. It's current. You see what I'm saying? It's usable. So these things are what are all money. Here, slaves, papers. As long as I can move a thing around, we're going to call those things what? Money. They have currency. They're current. He says what? He says, but what? But land is what? Land is not current. What's the problem with land? You can't move it. What's the best thing about land? You can't move it. What's the worst thing about land? You can't move it. Yes, so land is lousy. It's not current. Okay, so Shabbat Kesef, the only thing that we can collect is something that's worth money, but can never be money. I can never pick up my land and take it to the grocery store. Rami. So now we explain. Rami le Rabbi Huda Bar Chinna Rabbi Huna Berei the Rabbi Yeshua Tana. We learned in the Brisa. Shabbat Kesef. We said again, what's the Shabbat Kesef? Worth money. Malame chain based in this Kakiel Chasam Sheish Benachrais. From here we learn what the based in will not collect for damages anything, which is shocking, by the way, which they can only collect from land. The Shach and the Shulchan Aruch goes bananas. What do you? How can the Gemara think such a thing? Are there anybody who's not here? Everybody will make sure they have no cash and no movables. Make sure all the money in land, and they'll go around and damage it. No, they'll go around and damage everybody in the world. It's shocking that the Gemara holds this, but stay tuned for another share. This is shocking. Who can think such a thing? Here, I want to hurt my friend. I'll tell you what I do first. I get rid of every drop of cash and every stick of furniture, everything. I got nothing land. I'm lying that way. I'm on a piece of land. I've got damage everywhere in the world. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. But this moment, that's what we learned. That's me that. Tanya, didn't we learn? How could you tell me that? The Gemara says, Yashiv l'Rabbi Shabbat Kesef. We learned a few days ago. Here, we learn from the pasuk, from the extra word Yashiv. In the pasuk, we learn what? That you can always pay damages. What? Even in anything, in anything that's worth money. Not only that, but even the worst quality. Even in the bread, even the shells of the worst junk, the shell of the grain. So therefore, what? How can you tell me you can only collect land? The Gemara says you're right. The truth is that we were only talking about what? Collecting from orphans. When the father did the damage and didn't pay, and his obligation falls to his estate, And now we have orphans, and the orphans, you have, remember we said before, just like we said by a debt, that the debt only falls to land and it doesn't fall to the movables that they inherit. Also, what the obligation of the damage that the father did falls to his land and doesn't fall to the movables that the orphans got. Well, says 1 second. Ibi Asme, if come on. That your Bryce is talking about orphans. He says, Ema Seifa, how do you read the end? Im Kadam Nizak Batafas Bataklim. Didn't we say at the end of the Bryce that if the damagee comes, damage, and he personally he himself, he collects himself and he grabbed movables based in Govelamem, the based in ratifies it. They collect those, the based in ratifies, they don't take it away from them. Ibi Asme, if it's talking about orphans, I'm not based in Govelamem. Why the based in ratified? He's cheating. Then he's not allowed to do it. Why did you back it up? Why is based in backing up? Orphans are not, you may not take the movables of orphans. The movables that they got are not responsible for the father's loan. They're therefore not responsible for the father's damages. He says, don't worry, Amrav Nachman, Shetofas Michaim. Here's what happened. No. The father did damage, and the damagee grabbed that stuff in the lifetime of the father. Okay, so he said that not here. He said it in a different case, but we're going to apply the same thing here. Hachanami here too. Shetofas Michaim. You have to say what? The Brisa was really speaking about what? About where he grabbed it in the lifetime of the father. If they based in. All right, now you told me what? Next enigma. Next cryptogram. He said what? In front of Basin. It means what? So the Gemara is going to explain that has to mean what? You collect from land, but what? Only if the land is in front of Basin. In other words, if when the damagee brings the damager to court, at that time he has land. So then they collect from the land, okay, and they pay off. Prat, but what is this excluding? No, it's only when the land is there at the time they go to court. Prat l'mochan achasav. But let's say the damager sold his property, okay, he sold the property to somebody else, and he doesn't have any money. When he got to court, he has no money and there's no land because he sold it. And only afterwards the damagee take him. So the guy sued him, only he damaged, sold the land, and then he got sued. What happened? Okay, so we tough luck, we don't collect it. Shema mina, from 1 second, that's shocking. 1 second. Because we've equated, a minute ago, we equated we equated the responsibility for damages to the responsibility for a loan. We said the same way loans go on the land, we said also what damages go on the land. Well, then wait a second. Now you told me something shocking. If he does damage, sells his land, and gets the court, we have no recourse. Okay, in that case, okay, according to what you're saying, then if a guy borrowed money, this would be a great trick. A guy borrows money and he sells what he has to somebody else, and he has no money. He sold the land. And only afterwards did the creditor come and take him to court. And based in Govelamem, we can't collect from the buyer. Everybody knows that's absolutely false. Everybody knows you can go to the buyer. Everybody knows you can go to the buyer and collect it because what the loan went on the land. Ella, so how are we going to explain this? Why didn't the damages go on the land? So you have to explain it differently. You're right. You made a mistake. It doesn't mean in front of Basin that the land has to, like a run-on, that the land has to be in front of Basin is a full stop. You collect from land in the case of orphans, we said, full stop, and a new law. Pratla Basin. It has to be has to be what? Basin has to be in front of Basin, in front of a real Basin. A real basin, not one of these amateur basins. Pratla basin had yotas, not a basin of yotas. What is a base? What is a basin? It has to be a basin of mumchem. Why is that? Because we have a rule. Remember, damages can't be collected by a I shouldn't say amateur. It's not true. They're not amateurs, but it's not. They're not the best basin. What's a basin? A proper basin really has two qualities. They are mumchim and they're smuchim. There are two qualities. They're mumchim and smuchim. An expert basin has to be mumchim and smuchim. Mumchim are people who are well trained in the law. They say they're experienced. Is number one. Experience is one. And smuchim means that they were tested in front. They were tested in front of the big Sanhedrin, that they were good, and they were given smicha of Moshe Rabbeinu, and they were ordained. They were ordained. Okay, so we have mumchim and smuchim. That's the two together. Mumchim and smuchim. So that's the quality. But it's only that basin to collect fines. But a regular basin, not allowed to collect. So it says here, a basin means that's a basin. You call that a basin? They said Menachem Begin was a very nice guy. He was a good. He gave respect to Talmidei Chachamim. He was a respectful person. he was also a very smart guy. So there's a story, he had to deal with then Jimmy Carter was the president of the United States. So there's a story, he went in the first time in the White House. So he comes out of the Oval Office after speaking with Jimmy Carter. He says, "That's the president." He says, "That's a president." He says, "Yeah, we here." He says, "Wait, that's a Basin. That's how Jews talk. That's a Basin. The Basin's no Basin. The barber's no barber. The butcher's no butcher. That's how Jews talk. I mean, but I say Basin, I mean a Basin, a real Basin."
Which
That's what
hasn't
it-
existed.
Yeah. However, you should know. That we had a famous debate whether we could reinstate smicha, and it happened at the time of the Beis Yosef, and we have it also modern Eretz Israel. There's been a movement in a great debate.
There were three people that were.
Yeah. And now in modern Eretz Israel also there was in my time, was a debate, and some people also took action. We have to talk about that another time. Okay, we'll call that a daf. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful day.
Knowing how to lane 2 hours to 3 hours.
Scott Cowboy, thank you very much. Yeah, for explaining the impossible. Yeah, I was early in.
We're gonna move the water now, or
What?
we moving the water, or leaving it the way it is? Or what?
You know what? That's a good
Allow the water.
question.
Let's take a look to see what.
Okay. Marty, is Heshy on your payroll? Heshy's on your payroll?
The interesting thing is, whatever weird circumstances we went almost years of doing this stuff, and those mistakes or those issues came up many times before. And that's not hidden. Hey, look at this, my nice shiny Calasim. My grandchildren brought me 2 Calasim for my 80th birthday. So I call up Kesek, if people make the Calasim. I said, I've got new Calasim, and I have the silver Atara, but the satin is all schmutz. He says, how many lines? It's $5 a line. In other words, I'm not the first guy ever to need a new backing on the Atara. It's $5 a line if we have fix any of the plates. They had a whole price chart. You couldn't thunk it, right? But again, nothing is new. I sent him, I put it in a little mailer and sent it to him. How's your wife doing? Yeah, can we invite you for another meal? Oh, all right. We'll wait another couple of weeks. Because your wife is your episode is low, but your wife was a very interesting woman. Thank you. only thing you can say honestly about you is that you're a doctor. And you were an electrician, right? You did commercial. You did people too. Yeah, but no, but I thought you did like putting in. No, but I thought you did put in the wiring like it's construction facility. Well, but not like if I have a problem. You didn't do fixing. You did construction. Oh. You mean you don't have the capability of doing it? I get that.
Okay, we'll be here at 11. I would think 11:30 should be. I'm just gonna check. I'm just gonna check that he's. To remind him to bring that stuff out.
Well, this is when I was a waiter. Yeah. if you get it up on your shoulder, you don't have to chill your mom and you're back with you.
Thank you. We're gonna leave this unlocked for now. That must be. Had I known that there was gonna be some other event.
Yeah.
Tell me it's still split. So this is why you won't have to hear this morning, huh? Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, no,
Good morning, good morning. Did you order lunches for everybody in here in the office? Okay, in the future, add one for use, a salmon for him. Okay? I know, he spoke to me this morning. He said in the future, if we could order a salmon for him, now. All right? Okay. Yes. What? Yeah, that's a good idea. I also gotta give you back the recording. He's not teaching. No, he's not last week. As far as I know, he's not teaching. I thought it was because he wasn't gonna get back from work. It's in Moses.
Like nieces, three of my nieces' husbands are in the army. Difficult situation. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, we used to come regularly, have like,
I was just discussing it with my wife,
yeah.
and she said some of the ladies aren't here yet.
Oh, and she just told me, I didn't know that Barbara Hollander went back to the Jewish home in Rochester.
Yeah, that's,
What time actually is it? But we didn't know that.
Oh, it's the home.
yeah, that's unfortunate because she really, but I think her family insisted that she,
But she probably needed more help. And I'm surprised that she wanted to go back to Rochester when her daughter was down here.
but the other family members are there.